What is up, YouTube? Satellar Knight here, and I have Miguel with me, and he's going to be showcasing. What are you showcasing today, Miguel?
Invoked branded Dogmatica.
Oh, awesome. All right. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Let's just jump right into it. Show us the deck profile, my friend.
Also, don't forget to hit the bell, alright?
Hit the bell at the bottom.
Alrighty, so Alistair's kind of been a ubiquitous engine in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a little while, and the branded support kind of helped them out. So let's start off with the very bog standard Alistair package. 3 Alistair, 3 Meltdown.
Beautiful.
2 Invocation, and the 1 Terraforming.
Okay.
This is pretty uniform across every Invoked list that I've ever seen. I have thought about playing a 3rd Invocation just because having the extra fusion spell names sometimes helps, but it hasn't come up enough for me to actually consider it, but
2 is enough consistency-wise?
yeah, it's because you run 7 Alistairs total.
Okay.
Plus the invocations, that gives you a total of 9 invocations theoretically in your list, so.
Alright.
As for the branded package, this list is a little bit of a budget deck, which is why I'm not playing the Aliber stuff with branded opening, but I would definitely recommend playing that if you have access to it, because branded opening helps protect your fusion monsters from destruction. And the Aliber, while yes, it doesn't special summon itself from hand like Kit, it's a clean +1 in terms of card advantage every single time you resolve it.
Okay.
And the added benefit of the spot negation sort of pseudo-M-perm effect when a fusion monster you control leaves the field is pretty good. And then the 2 Albaz, fairly standard. 1 is also an option, but I have found myself needing 2 in the main deck for certain situations where you open it and you perhaps use it to break your opponent's board in some sort of way. It helps.
Alright.
And the 3 branded fusion, oh my god, this card is so good. So the main reason that I've decided to play this engine in Invoked is not as much the sort of using the Albaz fusion monsters for extra bodies, but rather being able to mill a light monster from the deck to the grave to set up a Macabre immediately.
You got new support coming out for it too soon, right?
Ooh, yeah.
You're excited for that one.
Yeah, although I might try going with a bit more of a pure branded Despia brew rather than kind of splashing in the Invoke stuff and the Dogma.
Okay.
But yeah, and this interacts pretty much the same way as Shaddoll Fusion with Magical Meltdown, where it stops you from being Ash Blossomed, and that's pretty hugely important since resolving your branded fusion is a pretty huge power play.
Okay.
So that's the branded package. For the Dogma stuff, I have opted to play 2 Ecclesia. I've seen people who play 1, I've seen people who play 3. 2 is my sweet spot because you can usually just send her from deck to grave with branded fusion, and the little +1 that gives you either an extra body or lets you dump some of your Albaz dragons to get their effects is pretty nifty. And the aforementioned dump 2, Maximus, in the San Diego Regionals just a few months ago, I got hugely punished by a Fluendaries player with this because they sent Nova and Intis. They popped one of my cards and then summoned a Macabre, and it was over from there. And then the Fleur-de-Lis, pseudo Imperm, and it helps to close out games pretty quickly. Gets himself pretty up there, as well as getting Ecclesia pretty up there as well.
Beautiful.
And then the sort of Nadir Servant and the Schism, that's pretty standard.
Okay.
Then for hand traps, we're running 3 Ash. There's quite a lot you can hit in this particular format with Ash. She kind of rotates in and out of being a really strong, sort of ubiquitous card.
Okay.
This did a lot better in every tournament that I've played. Hits Fateful Adventure, hits Therion Disc Coliseum, hits a whole bunch of stuff. It's just gravy all around.
I love how the deck can support so many hand traps and be consistent still, huh?
Yeah, it's because the engines are relatively slim, and if you draw anything like Alistair Ecclesia or like Alistair Branded Fusion, you could usually play.
Okay.
Although for your really strong opens, you do want to see pretty much every part of the 3 engines, but this.
Good old Cyframe.
Hate this guy. Absolute turd. I don't like him. But when I do draw Gamma, it's pretty amazing. It helps shield your Branded Fusion and your Meltdown from being Ash Blossomed or hand trapped in any way. And sometimes this represents a light monster that gives you access to Albion and Makaba, which has come up a little bit, but it is a little bit of a corner case situation, I will admit.
Right.
If you're a fusion deck, this is mandatory at 3.
Okay.
I think we
Say
can all
less.
agree.
Yeah.
And then, of course, 3 Imperm. This is probably one of the best generic spot negators because it can function like a Forbidden Chalice or an Effect Failure when you need it to.
Right. Awesome.
So that's the main deck, 40 cards. It might be shocking to find out that this is a 40 card list with all of the engines and stuff that I've packed into it. But as I said, this is literally all you need to play. Or just this.
Right.
But seeing multiple parts helps. So now for the extra deck.
Yeah, let's get to it.
It's 15 fusions, 2 Makaba.
Okay.
Third one doesn't really come up often, but it's an option if you'd like to do that, but I personally don't go for it. Aguades, this card is so good. I played for the same reason as Fleur-de-Lis, because it helps you close out games by banishing fusion monsters from the grave, buffing its own attack, and proactively destroying cards while also serving as a pseudo-reactive option you can fall back on if things go wrong. So it's a pretty nifty little card. This is probably one of the strangest choices in my extra deck because I don't see a lot of Invoked players playing Kaliga. The reason that I opted to play it is it's basically just another copy of Window.
Okay. All right. Make it your own, man. It's your choice, right?
It is indeed my choice.
Yeah.
This card actually came up a lot against the Branded Despia matchup because of the amount of dark monsters that they have in rotation, and the fact that most decks are usually very monster effect heavy, especially punk variants. This helps stun them out pretty well.
Nice.
So for the Albaz Dragons, 2 Albion. Mare Jade sends as cost one of the Albaz Dragons from the extra deck to the grave. So having an extra copy of Albion does come up quite often, although you're usually just summoning the one and using the other is for Mare Jade.
Right. Okay.
I've thought about cutting the Mare Jade down to 1 and potentially playing things like Purgatrio, Raijin, just extra stuff for super polymerization, but I've made it enough to the point where I think this card at 2 is correct because it sweeps boards. It also helps you proactively and reactively remove monsters from the board. And it can set up searches off these guys,
Okay.
which this can help you like summon an Albaz from the deck during the end phase and get rid of a few guys with the super poly type effect, or add an Ecclesia from deck to hand, or any of those cards. And this searching Branded Fusion helps you close out games very well because it makes sure you have that extra gas that you need to keep going. And the 1 Lubellion shuffles itself back into the extra deck, so you only need the 1. And that's sort of the Albaz Dragon package.
Okay.
6 monsters.
Invoked Albaz.
And then the stuff for the Shadal package.
Okay.
The 1 Winda, the 1 Apolon, and the 1 Construct.
Right.
Pretty standard stuff.
Self-explanatory, yeah.
Summoning Winda, this format is so good because if your opponent doesn't open exactly Droplet, Chalice, or Imperm, or any of those big either blanket negation cards or spot negation cards, it's an extremely strong play. And if you've got this backed up with Makaba or Mare Jade, having the extra disruptions also really helps kind of steal games. And for the super poly targets, Dragostapelia and Starving Venom.
Okay. Awesome.
Now, Dragostapelia is a card that you can make proactively pretty decently. 2700 attack, has that pseudo imperm effect. It's pretty nifty. And the reason that I opted to play Starving Venom is because of its effect that when it gets removed from the field, it destroys all of your opponent's special summon monsters, so it just makes it harder for your opponent to chew through your board and try and out you entirely.
Awesome. Okay.
But yeah, that's it.
All right. Do like and subscribe. Check out more content I have posted coming up. And I'll be joining the tournament today, so I'll be busy, but when I'm back, I'll post more content. Thank you guys. Goodbye.